Hola, buenos días o buenas tardes. Bienvenidos a la clase de español, año 9. Before we start, could you make sure that you write the title, Tienes una dieta sana, and you write today's date in Spanish. And then you are ready for the last lesson of the week. So we're going to start translating these sentences. You got 5 sentences, 5 frases, and you're going to translate them from English to Spanish. Once you have completed that, and I want you to write the English and then translate in Spanish, you are going to do the challenge. You're going to write your own sentence in English and saying what you like to eat, what you like to drink, what you don't like to eat, or what you don't like to eat, or what you don't like to drink, and how often you do this. And then you will translate that into Spanish. Okay, so I reckon you can do this within 5, 6 minutos. So let's have a look at your answers, okay? So let's look at the translation. So 1, como comida sana de vez en cuando. 2, no bebo Coca-Cola porque es malsana. 3, en casa nos encantan las frutas, las comemos todos los días. 4, me gustan el pescado y las verduras, los como 2 veces a la semana. Y 5, intento tener una dieta sana. I try to, you might not have known what it is. I'm hoping that many of you have gone into Word Reference and find the translation for it. So what I want you to do is to mark your work, please. Make sure that it's exactly the same as mine. Make sure that you have understood that when you name the noun, and you substitute the noun for the direct object pronoun, the direct object pronoun agrees with the noun. So in this case, frase número 3, las frutas, I'm using las because las frutas is feminine and plural. So my direct object pronoun have to be feminine and plural, okay? And then once you mark that, you should have written your English sentence, your own English sentence, and translated into Spanish. So the objectives for this lesson is the same as it has been up to now. By this lesson, you should be able to understand the vocabulary about healthy eating and unhealthy food. You should feel confident, more confident in using direct object pronouns. You will apply now the vocabulary and the grammar point that you have learned in this lesson by doing a writing task about your healthy eating habits. And towards the end of the lesson, I'm going to ask you to evaluate and set targets on how to improve further. So let's just recap very quickly about the rules of direct object pronouns. As we said in the previous lesson, it replaces the noun, okay, or nouns, which has been mentioned previously to avoid repetition. And they usually come in front of the verb. Okay, these are the examples I gave you. As you can see, and as you can remember, the direct object pronouns must agree with the noun. So if the noun is feminine and singular, you use la, which means it. Yeah, and that is feminine and singular. If you use masculine and plural, your noun is masculine and plural, then you use los, and that means them. Okay, and I gave you these examples. So I am expecting you to have written these examples. If you did not translate them, if you did not write them, make sure that you do. Okay, so you have those examples, okay? Now, in order to consolidate our learning for this grammatical point, I'm giving you here these sentences to translate. So you go from 1 to 3, they are you translating from Spanish to English, and from 4 to 7, you are translating into Spanish, from English to Spanish, okay? Make sure you write what you have in front of the screen first, and then you translate. Okay, so you have to have the 2 versions in your book. Let me move this box from here. Then you can see I have added in this blue box vocabulary that you might have not come across. So I'm giving you this. Otra vez means again. Proteínas mean proteins. Y por eso means that is why. It's because we use por eso a lot in Spanish, and it will make you sound more Spanish, okay? So make sure that you translate everything. Okay, here are the translations. I think I'm gonna have to move this box higher because you're not gonna be able to see. There we go. I moved the wrong one. Let's move that one. So hopefully you will be able to see now the sentences, okay? So here are the sentences translated. Please go through them. Make sure that you got exactly the same, no difference. I need to move this box as well so you can see that. When you are translated into Spanish, make sure that you got here this expression, a mi hermano y a mí no nos gustan las verduras. It's a bit complex, but I'm sure some of you or many of you should be able to translate it in this way. Check that you direct object pronoun agrees with the noun of the sentences, that you using me gustan or me gusta accordingly. Okay, so remember when it's more than one, you adding en to me encanta or me gusta. Well done, guys, if you have translated all of them and if you got the majority correct. Well done. I made it a bit complicated, but it's good because I want to challenge you. So the next task you're going to be doing is a writing task. So this is the paragraph that you read about Paco in lesson 2. So what I want you to do is to go through that text again and pay attention to what the grammar is being used. Pay attention on how the direct object pronoun is being used, how the vocabulary that you've been learning in these 3 lessons is being used. So using this text as a reference, I want you to write your own. What I want to see in the paragraph that you're going to write is the 3 sentences. So let me move this now and see if I can drag it up. So I want you to use the present tense, the preterite, and the near future tense. So you can see that in the first paragraph, Paco is talking about what he did on the Saturday, what he does normally. So the time expression normalmente is telling you is in the present tense. And then voy a tener. So the verb ir plus a plus the verb in infinitive, tener, is telling you is using the near future tense, okay? So I want to see those 3 tenses. Then I want you obviously to use the direct object pronouns because that is the objective of the lesson. So you need to use it and them, la, lo, las, los, opinions and reason, because that will give you really good marks when you are able to say, I do this because, okay? Frequency words. We have been talking about frequency words todos los días, 2 veces a la semana, de vez en cuando, casi nunca, nunca, okay? I want you to use that vocabulary. You know about food now. You can use the vocabulary we have learned in this lesson, but you can go into word reference and find for more other type of food that you eat, but you haven't seen in the lesson. Connect is very important, okay? Use también, pero, porque, dado que, ya que, puesto que means porque, okay? Dado que, ya que, puesto que is the same as porque. Sin embargo, ¿vale? Y I am expecting you to write a minimum of 150 words, okay? Because when you do the writing task, when you do the writing paper, you will have to write a minimum of 90 words and a maximum of 150 words. So I want you to write that, okay? Make sure you use word reference. Please do not Google Translate. Do not copy this text. I'm gonna be reading and I'm gonna be checking. So I want your own piece of writing. You may spend 20 minutes, 30 minutes on this. Once you've done that, I want you to do 2 things as towards the end of this lesson, which is the plenary. So I want you to write as many healthy and unhealthy food you can remember. So you're gonna put a 1 minute timer, 1 minute on your mobile, And you're gonna write without looking at your notes, without looking at anything, how much you can write down in a minute. And then I want you to evaluate. You have done a few translation activities throughout this lesson. Evaluate that, set your targets. What do you need to improve? Okay. Thank you very much, guys. You're doing very well. I am very impressed with many of the works that you are setting. Make sure that you've got any problem, any doubts, you contact your teacher. And I will be seeing you on the next lesson. Have a lovely weekend. Adios.